Nice. Well, welcome everybody to the gathering. Welcome, Joanna. Welcome, Chris. We've really envisioned the gathering as a place where we all could just come together and explore soulful business and explore what's possible. What's possible if we add a little more soul, if we really show up for real collaborations and sisterhood in business. We talk about it a lot, and we talk about it amongst, we vibe out with our friends and our other peers, but we thought, wow, we really need to create more of this where there's more of us. It's more exponential. So here we are. And we're excited today to welcome Joanna Devoe, the kick-ass witch. And we're super excited to bring her on because she definitely she knows a thing or two about soulful business, prosperity, self-care, authentic branding, and so much more that I can't wait to find out more about today. Welcome.
Thank you.
Before we dive into more about you and hearing all your deliciousness, just want to introduce myself real quick. I am Becca Berggren, mindful marketing strategist and brand therapist with Simply Online, and I'm here today in San Diego. And then my co-creator, co-host, co-conspirator is Chris Ann Donnelly, and I'll let her give you a little bit about herself.
I have to give Angus a little bit. He's hanging out on the couch. My name is Chris Ann, and really this is sort of, I was mentioning to you right before we got online, Joanna, that we met each other on Instagram, Becca and I, and we just had this vision of how can we really start looking at business differently? Both of us support business owners, and so how can we start to support them more collaboratively and in a really, in a spiritual way, the way we want to live our lives? And then of course it begged the question, well, if we're not modeling it, then we can't expect anyone else to. So it was really kind of about, let's do this, let's give it in, it's really an experiment on what collaboration could potentially become, right? So that's kind of where we are at, and we thought we'd start reaching out to people. And I have to say, Joanna, you are, I've been watching your stuff online for years. You're sort of, as far as the YouTube community goes, especially in the stuff that I like to watch, you've been there for a really long time. And
internet users are like dog years, I think.
Oh, for sure. And so thank you so much for joining us today. It's sort of, I put it out there and I was like, oh, she said yes, Joanna Devoe. So that's great. I'm a little bit of I'm a fan. So.
Love that. I reach out to people to do collaborations all the time. And it's funny how we all can be fans of each other. It's such a different environment and climate that we're in now than I think ever has existed before. And it really goes beyond Andy Warhol's 15 minutes of fame. I think that's initially kind of the woo that maybe fueled the YouTube phenomenon, but then it became about real human connection, and we can fangirl on each other, and I just think that's so neat.
I'm all for that.
The internet has given us that. So I guess before we jump in, because we've got a ton of questions for you, your stuff is just so unique and cool and different and authentic. My goodness. I would just like to, I like to set the intention every time we start something new, and really just set the intention that, the conversation is easy and wonderful, and, maybe it inspires other people to do more collaboration and less, competition, or not competition, that's my intention. So just putting it out there before we get started. So we've got a ton of questions. Do you want to, I know Becca, you had some good ones when we were
I have a million questions for you, but I was like, okay, what can we get in this time, right? So, really to start out with, obviously your title is super catchy. People are like, kick-ass witch, what does that mean? And so if you want to go into, a little bit about what it means and why you chose that and kind of the evolution, I'm curious about that one.
Yeah, I chose it. Well, it's a very polarizing name. So people either love it or hate it. And I think that's really powerful in branding. The branding that I chose to do was because I have limited time. I am a mother of a special needs child. I have the normal responsibilities that everyone else has. But my business is sort of like my second child. I love it. And so I made some decisions in the very, very beginning about what I was going to put forward, what I was going to put my energy into. And you both have gorgeous presentations online, really beautiful, like elegant. And I chose not to do that very intentionally because as much as I love it, I really love aesthetics. I knew I didn't have the time to do anything. So I kind of just led with my personality. And I have a naturally polarizing personality in real life. So people tend to either really love me or just think I don't know what. They'll have a negative response to me typically. So I thought that name very much suited me. And I am a witch. I love magic. And the tagline is putting the K in magic. Mm-hmm. Because I really want to teach people how to create the kick-ass life of their dreams. As in, it's not a bunch of like wishing and hoping and dreaming and vision boarding. It's like, no. You have to kick ass too if you want if you really want to transform your life and create some real magic. So that's the story behind the name.
Awesome. I just want to say a quick hi to Papa Bear and Chris and Kristen. Thanks for joining us. We're talking to Joanna Devoe, Kickass Witch, and we were just asking her about her amazing name and her brand and how that came about. So yeah.
Yeah, I like, and I love how you were saying you knew it, it's polarizing, and you are polarizing. Like that's your magic, right? Mm-hmm. And so in really showing up as just truly, authentically, 100% who you are was what you chose to do. Yeah. And I'd love, because I know that, you are really, well what authentic branding means, right? And so I'd love to hear a little bit more about like, what does that mean to you and how, everybody talks about it and everybody says you should do it, but, how did that come to you? Was it easy? Did you have any frustrations along the way or fears? Or
Yeah, it was easy because I'm old. Is
that why it's easier for you?
It was for me because, I'm 42 now, and I moved to LA to be an actress when I was 19, and I really wasn't able to fulfill that dream. Another tough choice, it felt very much like a Sophie's choice to me, was when my son was diagnosed with autism. I was trying to do both and balance both, but I knew that I had to choose my son. So, but the part of me that wanted to move to Hollywood to be an actress, I wanted approval so bad. I wanted the world to, tell me I was great. And so I think a lot of young people are like that, especially young people that move to Hollywood. And so I went through all of the inauthenticity and trying on the different roles very early, and came to a place where words would always come up when people describe me: quirky, weird, things like that. And I used to cry. I would be so offended or hurt. And then, I don't know, something happened, I think, in my 30s where I was like, I am quirky, I am weird, and it's awesome, fine, So I think like a good tip for people that are trying to be authentic is don't think about what other people will want. Think about what you're doing when nobody is looking, very, very obsessively. Like I had this secret life, and I would like freak out on people if they got into my papers or my books, because it was all, I spent like 2 decades immersed in psychology, self-help, this whole psycho-spiritual paradigm, magic. And it was just, I felt driven. I could not stop myself. And it was really exciting to bring that out, to like come out of the closet and present that, because that's really who I was. It's who I didn't want people to see. I wanted to be very cool. I was trying to be the cool girl. So it's amazing, the internet, you will find the weirdos that are just like you. And there's something so exciting about that. It doesn't matter if you're like an underwater basket weaver with purple hair, and like, there are other underwater basket weavers with purple hair, and they will find you.
Absolutely. I so resonate with that. I spent a lot of my teenage years kind of hiding my own secret spirituality too. And that is it is so empowering to move beyond that, isn't it? It's just like this, like bubbling up of like, gosh, I am here. And I think maybe it comes with age for sure. Like, I think there's a little bit of, but there's also just getting past the, a lot of the bullshit and a lot of the other things that you think, oh, I have to be, right? But thank you for sharing that with us. That's awesome.
I love everything you're saying. We all really resonate pretty deeply with that one. And oh my gosh, I love to find weirdos like yourself, right? Like in the key to that, right, in branding is that, like, if we're vanilla, if you're just the cool kid, it's like, who really has they don't have a connection. They don't have that resonance that, like, oh my gosh, I love her and I want to know more, or I really want to, like, be a part of this, That piece is missing when you're so vanilla, right?
Extremely polished. Or I love, like, weird must stay, like the weird in me sees the weird in you. I just love that. It's sort of like, it's like,
oh my gosh, okay, I can't stand that, but because I love, when I talk about branding, I talk about the namaste of branding. It's like that, whatever that is in my brand sees that in you. Weird. No. Oh my God, so good.
A good thing to do too is just to recognize, spirituality is very trendy now. We're all saging and wearing feathers and talking about our crystals. And it's like, okay, well, what is going to make you different? You can't come at it at what will make me different. What's going to make it different is you're weird. I really believe that.
Yes. And a million times yes, and bringing, a lot of, I think we all probably do a similar thing with clients is when they're like, well, what is unique about me? It's like, go ask your friends or what you were saying, like, what do you do in your off time? What are you kind of like secretive about? Or, and another piece I wasn't even noticing that even when you work with clients and like the testimonials that you get from your clients, like what they say you're really good at, look at those little tiny things that are in there. It's like, the differences. You're so right.
Another thing too, just hanging with this word weird too, is if you're one of those people that, preface something you want to say is like, okay, I know this is really weird, but every time you hear yourself say, I know this is really weird, but you're like pushing outside your comfort zone, which I call the zone of lies, to present something that you feel very vulnerable about. And vulnerability is authentic and it's highly magnetic. People, we want human connection, and vulnerability is the path. So notice when you say things like that, when you're feeling like you have to do a little qualifier before you say something.
That's a good tip. I like that one.
For sure.
And the other part that I'm hearing you say is once you really started busting out your realness, like that's when your passion really came forward. You were really excited. You probably didn't want to stop what you were doing. Like that piece right there is the other side of what makes it work.
I was in a punk rock band called Obedient Waves, and talk about being weird. I looked like this. So I got to punk rock shows where people were like, with shaved heads and covered in tattoos and wearing black. And I'd be like, hey, but I loved winning the crowd over. And what I really I wrote a lot of dark stuff. It was all my anger. And I used to say it was the things that, I would think that it was not polite to say in conversation, or the things that are not acceptable. It was very shadow worky kind of for me at the time. But I think that's really where I got comfortable just being like, well, really, this is what I think, just so you know. And people loved it. So that's really, I think, where it started for me.
That's great. And so you're an illustrator, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're doing illustrations?
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, that's very cool. And so that
was another piece too. I did I worked at Warner Brothers and I had a lot of time on my hands. We all did, because we worked TV and there's a lot of waiting in TV, and people would play video games or talk. And I'm just like, I mean this in a good way, a workaholic creative. Like I'm always making something. And I was like, I'm not playing video games. I'm going to make something. So I illustrated my first, it was called Koshi is Too Cool for School. And it was illustrated poetry. It was very out there, more of that, what I was just saying about the band, just lots of boobs and things that I was thinking about, but people loved it. And it actually traveled around the world. I would number them. I'd made it on a Xerox machine, and I was like, I hope people like this. So that's really when I started illustrating. And I did a nicer one called Will Work for Food, a coloring book for grown-ups. But it's like very sneaky. On the outside, it looks, like it's pink. And it's very attractive, but it's, again, a lot of like shadowy things in there. So
I love that like light and dark that you seem to bring into a lot of things. That's really cool.
Yeah. I think I went through the darkness. I still have darkness and I still talk about it, but I like really like marinated in it for a long time and worked through things. And it was coming out of that classic dark night of the soul period that, is so infamous now. It was, I think, how I found my way out. And then came into the lightness that I had as a kid,
Beautiful.
Yes, more of that, please.
Balance is on, and she has a question for you. She's working on becoming vulnerable this year, which is good for you. Yeah.
Oh, Chris, hi! I love her.
Awesome. So she's leaving her retail job. Oh, she's sending you hearts. Can you see it on the side? Yes.
I love it.
And she knows she needs to be more open to connect with others. So how did you come so comfortable with doing that in the world? I want to know that too, because I think your authenticity is what makes you so magnetic for sure. I know it. So
thank you. I feel like Chris is really authentic, by the way. That's why I love her. So it's interesting to hear that coming from her. She also is very Invoking the Balance is her YouTube channel, and I recommend checking it out. Because she can be very vulnerable sometimes too. I don't know. I've cried. I feel like I edit my own videos and things like that. I've cried in my videos. We're on my podcast. I do a weekly podcast. And that's live. So there's no editing that. But I don't edit it out because I know it's important. I know that people need to see themselves. They need to see themselves. It's not about me at that point, but it is me right when I'm hitting publish. It is about me. I'm like, "Wah!" And I'll just go do something else. I'll just go leave and like try not to think about it. Cause sometimes, I cry a lot. And then sometimes I'm like, why? Talk about weird. That is so weird. But then those are always the videos or the episodes that I get the most feedback on and that people are like, thank you. So I think, gosh, what does Brene Brown say about courage?
Courage and vulnerability. Yeah, I can't think of the
vulnerability. Something about vulnerability is the path to courage, or somehow they're related. I'm totally screwing this up. I usually one of those tip of the brain things, but you have to think about it as you're here. Why are you doing this? Why are you making a YouTube video? Why are you doing a podcast? Why are you creating this online business? Whatever you're doing, you're doing it to serve in some way, to inspire other people, to teach them how to do something. Mm-hmm. And so allowing yourself to go there is allowing yourself to touch someone else's heart. And, courage means heart. So it's coming from a place of the heart, and it takes a little leap of faith, a little leap of courage. But the more you do it, you're just like, for me, I'd think like, dude, I just cried too much. Like, why? Like, I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I'm sad. And for people that don't know me, I don't cry in every video. It happens, once every 6 months or something. But I don't know. And something about the crying is what kind of came forward for me, because that's when I can't control it. It's like, oh, crap, here it comes. Here it comes. Well, here, and I just keep going and try to talk through it, even with the ugly face.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. Yeah. Oh, those are really good pointers and tips. Because I think a lot of people know that vulnerability is the pathway, right? But it's how to do that is the trickier side. So it sounds like you've kind of you've got the path.
Discernment too, which I do think is a bit of an age thing. I think we all reach wisdom at different ages. Some wonderfully blessed people are raised by parents that keep their kids' wisdom intact. So it's not always an age thing, but typically I notice it to be an age thing. Like when women in particular get into their mid 30s and they hit the 40 mark, they get this kind of discernment. And I think, the ability to say no, for example, and no to themselves. So being authentic doesn't necessarily mean getting online and start talking about your period, that, and what a crappy mood you're in. It could. I'm not saying it doesn't, but you don't have to share it all. I don't share it all. There are things that only my best friends know behind the scenes. I share a piece of my life because I think it will be on message. My message is creating the kick-ass life of your dreams. So I'll be like, does this serve that, or is this just me? I don't know, like spiritual, mental masturbation, having the discernment to tell the difference between the two.
Yeah. That's perfect points, right? It's not just yeah, love it. So, I'd love to hear a little bit about your book that you just did, because you have a new book that you did, and it's on prosperity and the portals to prosperity. And
I did a couple. I did one called accidentally. I say I did them, but I really didn't. I feel like they just wanted to happen, and I just got out of my way and I don't know. My fingers could not type it out fast enough. So I did one called The Spiritually Mature Witch, 5 Keys to Unlocking Your Personal Power. I thought it was done. And then a couple weeks later, I was like, no, I'm not done. And I did The Rich Witch. And The Rich Witch is for us. It's for spiritual people. You don't have to be a witch. It's really what I did was I have a hard time taking credit for this because it just didn't seem to come from me. It kind of felt like it came through me in a way. And I had this cast of characters. Here, I have a little Post-it note so I can remember them in order. But like I present these 7 portals to prosperity, and each portal has a guardian. And they correspond with the 7 main chakra systems. I wanted to create something for those of us that are so artsy and creative or magical or very new agey. We often have a hard time with business and finance. It's such a foreign language to us. And I was like, well, this can be fun. This can be magic too. So each portal has a guardian. And I present the guardian in their power, and then also the wounded guardian. And I give for each one 2 examples of what a wounded guardian typically would look like. So we have the conservator for portal 1. Portal 2 is the sacred creator. Portal 3 is the champion, a personal favorite of mine, because that has to do with your will and your solar plexus. Number 4 is the courageous hand, which I also love because it's about connecting your hands and action to your heart center. And there's a really cool meditation for activating your magnetic ability to draw money into your life. I love that meditation. I did a little guided meditation to go with that. It's like an audio version. Number 5 is the self-advocate. Number 6 is the visionary. And number 7 is the divine guide. So it's really embracing all these things that us in the spiritual community, we love. We totally get that. We can talk about it all day long, but then applying it in a very, very practical, hands-on, real way in terms of making prosperity. So there's a lot of tips about just investing your money and making more money, and making money your superpower, really, is how I put it.
Love it. Do you find, I'm just drawing on my personal experience here, but do you find that your clients have, a lot of my clients have this like dislike of money, but they want it. So I always feel like they can't get it. Like, do you find that your clients they come in with that similar mindset?
Yes. My take on magic is very psycho-spiritual. So most of the magic tricks that I'm into are about tricking myself. If you have a lot of blocks around money, you're literally blocking money. Oh, sorry, I'm shaking the computer. So I think for people like that, which I totally relate to, it's about escaping that headspace long enough to be in a receptivity vibe to allow. And that takes practice. So maybe you can only allow it for 5 minutes one day, and maybe the next day a little bit longer, maybe one day not at all. But you see it as a practice. You see money as a spiritual practice, because I'm guessing in theory, she knows that money is energy and that everything is energy. But that's an intellectual theory. And the programs that are put in us when we're very, very small, in our family of origin, and but teachers, society, the news, the movies we watch, those programs are so deeply, deeply embedded that the conscious linear mind, it can't even touch it. You can't talk yourself out of being a person who rejects money, really. And you know you're a person who rejects money when you don't have any. That's how you can tell. Or you spend it faster than you can get it. It's really about worth, feelings of worth and self-worth, and how, especially people in the spiritual community, we are taught that you are not to be making money with your spirituality. Spirituality and money, these do not go together. Money is the root of all evil. Deep, 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 deep programs. So that's why I think just play around, be light, be playful. I love magic for this. Magic and money, I mean, it's liberating and it's fun. Make it fun. Don't freak yourself out, because you're already freaked out. So that's not working for you. So try something else.
Do you see the magic and the abundance then very closely related? One of the things I had in my mind that I wanted to ask is sort of, is the magic the ritual to that abundance mentality in the way in Joanna's world? Is that?
It could be anything. I do outline things in the book for, so people can do it workbook style and you're not thinking about it so much. It's really about getting out of your head so much. But I mean, it could be, I've mentioned this before, but Shanda Sumner is a business coach, and she teaches people, if you sign up for her Pace Club, you have to run half a marathon, which I don't like running. And I was like, what the hell does that have to do with, she makes some big claims about the money that her clients can make. But then I came to understand that is a spiritual practice, because how you do anything is how you do everything. And she's teaching them the principles of business, the principles of pushing beyond the so-called comfort zone, pushing beyond what you think your limits are. She's teaching them so much about making money by teaching them how to train for a half marathon. And I think that's so powerful. So it doesn't have to be a magic spell. If you've been doing magic spells, if you've been doing prosperity spells for years and you still can't pay your bills on a consistent basis, do something else. Like, it's not working. It's not working. And it's a permanent fix, in that when you finally heal that part of your shadow, your life will reflect that, and you will never go back to being in that state of scarcity and fear again. It might take you time to get to that place. So it could be like 2 steps forward and 1 step back, 1 step forward and 3 steps back. But as long as you recognize, I'm learning. I'm like, the car's going and then it runs out of gas, and the car's running and I hit a tree, but you're in the car and it's moving and you're excited about it. Sorry, I speak in metaphor a lot. I just naturally bust into it. I hope that makes sense.
Totally does. Way more sense.
How do you two deal with that? What are your takes on it?
Yeah, well, back to like the ritual for me. I mean, this is a little off just the prosperity side, but the ritual for me is really, honestly, it's about showing up regularly to something that is fun for me, right? So like, instead of, writing a to-do list of the things that need to get done or whatever, or like, what do I want to accomplish? Instead, it's like infusing either my meditation or, any other rituals or pulling cards. That's more like fun. It's a way for me to engage in my business in a way that I want to be all about it. It's like making it easy. Like, I love you brought up the playtime, like that's important. I mean, that's important for me in my life in general. It's like one of my main values in life is to have fun and explore and like be really like joyful and the work I do.
Money should be fun. People that have a lot of money, believe it or not, they actually enjoy it. So
that has to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, if you go listen to Warren Buffett talk about money, making money or saving money or investing money, like he's so obsessive about it, like in a way that it's like, okay, well, you're definitely having fun because
it's like a game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Yeah, it has to be fun for me in business too. I do think the meditating and the card. I'm big into oracle cards, so the oracle cards are a big part for me. But I remember the time when I was like, I'm gonna leave more space. I ran my business for a long time in fear, for sure. And I remember a time where I started leaving space for, well, I don't really want those clients, so I'm gonna only leave space for the clients that I really want. And then all of a sudden, I was working half the time and making the same amount of money. Like it just sort of, I don't know. It's just one of those things that happens, right? You start to leave the space for your joy, and it is, it's magical. Really, it is. You just kind of, you start to set those little bits and pieces out. And I start finding more and more of my clients, they're like, what are you doing? And I want more of that. And then it's even more fun.
You both said something I think is so powerful too. You said you started your business in fear, like you had fear around money. And then Becca, you were saying that you just show up. And kind of what I was saying about anything can be a spiritual practice, and how you do anything is how you do everything. Your business can be a spiritual practice. You can start in fear. You can start in fear if that's where you are. Just start. Just begin and then show up every day. Just show up. And if all you do that day is send out a tweet and you spend the rest of the time like, obsessing over an email that you don't send, but you made the effort and you showed up, do it again the next day. Some days you're going to kick ass. And some days you're just going to do your best, And I do think showing up is making time to not show up as well. I just have to say that too. So I take off, but that's for me. That's to refuel so I can serve again.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. But in that little piece too, I love that piece of, and not showing up if you want, and it's like, I think a lot of us get caught up in the do moving forward, and we forget that we need to refuel. And that's kind of vital to our prosperity, health, wealth, business, all of it.
I recommend scheduling that in and making it something that people know about you. So for a long time, I decided I was going to take Saturdays off completely. I call them social media free, but I would always schedule a post on Facebook telling people, I'm not going to be here. And eventually people kind of went away on Saturdays. They don't email me and they don't try to contact me. And I take even more time off than that. But schedule your time off in so you can use your discernment for other things, because a lot of people, they start and stop and start and stop and start and stop. And you want to be careful not to tell yourself, well, I just need this time for myself. And this time turns into a month. Because that's not productive, and it's actually counterproductive, because what you're doing is you're breaking trust with the people that I really am a fan of structure. That's why I do my radio show every Tuesday at noon. That's why I post a video every Thursday. That's why I send a newsletter out every weekend, because the expectation that builds, that's a relationship. It's a real relationship that I have with thousands of people now. Yeah, so you have to treat it like a relationship. If you say you're going to do something, do it. And if for some reason you can't, say, I can't do it this week, because you don't have to tell them your life story, but say, I love you all. I'll be back next week. But be very consistent, because that builds trust, that builds a relationship. And if you're going to be a coach, especially, you really need to show people that you're trustworthy.
Yes. Consistency. All of this is so beautiful. I feel like we could for sure talk for hours here, and all of your other insights and all of the other goodness. It's fantastic. I was curious about, I was reading or listening to something of yours, Joanna, and it was talking about your word for the year.
The queen.
I'd love to know what your word for the year is.
The queen. Oh, I went through this whole trajectory. I don't know if I'm going to remember it right, but 4 years I've been working with the word. Last year was the year of mastery, and that was really powerful. That there are a lot of challenges, I think when you make a statement like that and you really stick with it, the universe is like, okay, we're doing this now. So things you need to master. One year I did surrender, and I felt like the word picked me. I would not pick surrender. My friend picked thrive, and I was like, why didn't I pick thrive? But the word picked me. And then I learned so much about surrender that year. It was very powerful. And I don't think I could have done the year of the mastery if I had not done the year of surrender. And I definitely could not do the queen, which has taught me so much. It's been amazing. I love it. I want to have the life of the queen now, I think. I don't know if I can let it go at the end of the year.
You don't have to.
2017 Queen Plus X. Have you felt that kind of you're able to embody it more, or it's just the experiences that you're drawing in, or?
Yes, and it's kind of a totem. So if I find myself in a sticky situation, I can say, what would the queen do? How would the queen do this? How would a queen conduct herself? And I see a queen, my personal queen is the Queen of Swords, and she's kind of a take no shit queen. So again, back to discernment and truth and authenticity and not being crippled by people-pleasing tendencies and things like that. I think of a queen as being like that. And then it's also, there are fun things about it too, obviously. But that's fun. That's empowering. Saying no is empowering.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow, I love it. Yeah, I've done a few words for the year, and I'm noticing that one would be a little more, just be easier to go back to. You could really embody it better. And that's the thing for the year. I like
what's your word?
A lot. Oh, creatively. Well, I put them together. See, I have a really hard time with just one, clearly. Creatively inspired is one of them that's really, really, really important. I think that's what's driving a lot for me this year. Brave is one I just added. But see, brave doesn't sound as fun to me, right? But I guess it can be if I turn it into showing up and being more courageous. How does that bring more fun and
adventure?
Yeah, adventure for sure, right? And then compassionately connected. Those are my three big ones that I think what's led me to this right here. All of those, I get to be creative and connect, and definitely, it takes some courage for me to show up on video. So, mixing them all in, but I think one would really help to bring more focus in. I love when you say you're in a sticky situation and you ask, what would the queen do? That's pretty powerful. How about you, Chris?
You know what? I haven't gone through the process of picking words. There are definitely ones that came to mind when you guys were talking about them, though. Service is one that I've been hitting on quite a bit lately. And you know what? I don't think that it's I'm not doing enough of it. I always feel like I should be doing more, but there's just this piece about, I've been in business for a long time. I've been doing this for long enough. Now it's okay, how can I share it in a way that is good for, I don't know. So there's just this sort of sharing and collaborative thing that this year I was all about collaboration. Something happened between December 21st and December 25th of this year. I had this just a massive sort of creative download. And then it was all about, okay, I'm not doing any work anymore that I don't want to do. I've taken on a quarter of the client roster that I had last year. And it's just kind of putting those words into action through, to create creativity, being able to just give myself time to create and service up. So I don't know. I don't really know what it's going to all turn into by the end of the year, but I love the idea of pulling it up into my consciousness a little bit more. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And, everybody else who's here watching, I'd love to hear what words. I see that in Booking Bounce, is that Chris? Harmony. That's pretty delicious. I wonder if anybody else has some words that they either have chosen or are just coming kind of to the top of their heart and mind right now.
I had a guest on my podcast this December, and she was talking about Lisa Jan Height, and she was talking about harmony, and she works with the word harmony and how it's different from balance. So it's not this equal thing, of tit for tat. It's like a dance. It's a dance. And I think that's so great. For working moms, for some reason, that's like what I think about. It's like, how does your life feel harmonious? And for you, Chris, you're thinking about collaborate as a word. I think harmony is so, a harmony in music is two voices singing different notes, but it makes like such beautiful music, and it's even more powerful than one person singing. A good harmony. I grew up in a singing family that could harmonize, that would like harmonize around the dinner table, and I would just practically levitate. It was deeply spiritual, so I love that as a word.
Oh my gosh, your connection right there with collaboration and balance and harmony is pretty awesome. That's it. And then I see Kristen. Kristen's one of my deepest soul bestie friends. Hers is truth telling for this year, and I know for her for sure that's telling really and showing up to her truth. And surrender for last year. Yeah, surrender's a good one.
It's they all. It's like if you pick the stick, you're picking up both ends of the stick. And I've found like even a beautiful word, like you think it's going to be so fabulous, but you're picking up both the lessons, and the fun, and that's what's so fascinating about choosing one word and really, really making it a daily practice. So surrender, though, that's a kick-ass word.
Well, she had a kick-ass year last year, so, it's probably why, part of it.
Yeah.
Ooh. Nice, Kristen. Yeah, truth-telling is a pathway to being of service also. So, yeah, I'm hearing a lot of service
and
here.
I didn't feel that last year as much. I think sometimes we just feel called, we just have to make this, like, shift, right? And that's kind of where this year began for me. So, I don't know. That's how we kind of all started talking, right? Collaboration.
It's true. Well, we try to keep these to half an hour, but I think we should just, after today, we should really just call them hour shows because that's pretty much what they turn into. I don't know why we joke and kid ourselves like we could really pull this off in half an hour.
Once you get rolling, it's hard to stop sometimes.
It is. I know. And that's what happened with Chris and I when we first started, just, when we first met online and we were talking through Skype, we were like, we could do this forever with a whole bunch of other people. Why don't we create something? So here we are. Yeah. And Joanna, this has been so awesome to have you here, and you have so much wisdom to share. How can people find more about you or learn more or get all of this goodness?
Well, I'm so easy to find. My name is Joanna Devoe, JoAnnaDevoe, and www.joannadevoe.com. You'll find me on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube. I just use my name. Talk about authenticity.
Here I am.
This is my real name. You can call me Joanna on the street, and I will turn around and say, "Hey."
Oh my gosh. And you know what else? I'm gonna in the chat, I'm gonna drop in also your 7 portals to prosperity. And what was there anything else? I have a few of your links here. Any other ones you want me to drop in?
I sell The Spiritually Mature Witch. You can find those on my website as well. They're on the sidebar, so they're pretty easy to find. My website's a good hub to find, other things that I do and things like that.
Anything and everything about Joanna Devoe.
Thank you. It was really fun.
Yeah, you know what? And I'm so really, really grateful. It's sort of just, I'm so happy that you had that, yes vibe, because that's kind of the way this whole thing is going. And it feels like there's a ton of people that are dying they're just like, starving for collaboration, right? Like all of these beautiful people doing good work in their bubbles, at these, I feel like we're all working from our computers, right? And the internet is so, it's just so energetic. It's just so, there's almost, if we can consciously bring people together, and I know there's a ton of people doing communities, and there's a lot of communities that are out there, but
yeah, I will say about witches and pagans, specifically, they have an amazing community online on Facebook and on YouTube. It's highly collaborative, highly. And really a quality community. They very much have each other's back and stuff. And I feel a little bit, I think I always have an outsider vibe. I don't know if, I mean, I feel I have my witchy tribe for sure, but there's also this bigger, deeper core tribe that they make videos based on the same theme, I think every week. And so you can join in a collaborative conversation even without doing something like this. You know, you can find a hashtag that's going around and or do a VR, a video response to someone and join the conversation. And you're not alone. That's for sure.
And you know, real quick on the collaborative note, I think that's one of the things when I was looking through like everything you're about and like you're so highly out there and collaborative, like, and you've been doing it for a while. What personally has come of that for you, or like what are the benefits? You know, what about the collaborative nature has like kept you going?
I have a business, I think, because before I even started my business, I did a collaboration on YouTube called Journey Through the Temple. We all worked through the same book together and made videos together about it. And I really started on YouTube doing like VR to other people, which is a video response, and other people would do that for me. And I knew part of my strategy when I first started my business was to do, I have a interview series that I do off and on now, but in the beginning I was more consistent with it, where I interviewed people, because if you don't have an audience, let's just talk about the practical reasons for collaborating. If nobody knows you're there, nobody knows you're there.
Absolutely.
Nobody knows. Find people that hopefully have a little bit of an audience, and that people that you think their audience will enjoy you and resonate with you. And then you can ask them to do an interview or some kind of collaboration like we're doing here, and just start there. You don't want to send Oprah an interview request. Nobody knows who you are, you know, but, you know, choose peers. If you're afraid, just start with some peers, and probably nobody will watch your video. If nobody's watching your video and nobody's watching the person you're interviewing, nobody's watching them, that's okay. Just start from there. And then like maybe pick someone with a little bit bigger audience the next time and start from there, and just keep taking one little step outside of the zone of lies, the comfort zone. Just keep and soon enough you'll be interviewing bigger names, and some people are so kind, it'll just blow your mind. You'll be such a fan of someone, and then they'll say, sure, I'll come on your show. Sean Croxton came on my show in like a second. He was like, yeah, totally, let's do it right now. And I was like, right now? Oh. I was like, okay. Grabbing like lights and stuff and trying to get going because I wanted to harness that moment. So, you know.
That's so great. I mean, it's just like everybody right now, right? You know, practically wise, is talking about growing your tribe, growing your list, growing your audience. And it's, you know, and there's all these tricks and tips and ways that you could do it. That's a lot of effort and maybe not so fun. And like this way is so filled with joy and learnings and fun. And it just feels more real and authentic. It's like, it's my favorite.
Yeah, for sure. So good. And you know, I have been there. How do people come to you? I have a question. This is like, I think it'll be of interest to other people. And for sure, it's a question that's very personal. There's a lot of people on YouTube that kind of watch for a really long time, right? Before they really feel they want to get involved. And so, I mean, for me, for sure, it was a fear thing for a long time. I think I could totally do a video now, but 3 years ago, I was not in that space. You know, I was like, you know, what will my clients think? And now I don't care, but I used to care. You know, do people come to you with that? With that as one of their major sort of?
Yeah. There's really kind of two kinds of people. I do BizWitch coaching calls. And so people often that hire me in that way want to do videos, and some of them are afraid. Some of them are already like, like throwing stuff up on the internet. I want to be part of this. And so from there, the coaching calls tend to be like, okay, let's like bring it down. Let's shape this into something and be of service, and identifying what makes them unique and authentic. And then for the people that are afraid, sometimes I think video is just not for them, because it's not for everybody. There's always podcasting, it's audio. Or if you really want to do it, but you feel called to do it in a deep way, but your fear is standing in the way, start small. Film something else. Don't film yourself. Film like a little crystal setup with some sage burning, or film the environment around you and talk from the heart. And tell yourself, I don't have to post this. I don't have to post this. I'm just going to keep making videos, and then send one to your best friend. And or you can share videos privately. You can make them unlisted, or you can just share them privately with certain people, and you can just, like I said, just get braver and braver. Speaking of brave.
Yes, I like these. I'm writing these tips down.
I think we have to make these big changes in our life. People that are attracted to magic or the law of attraction, we want some spell that's going to change everything. And it's not as glamorous to say, go slow, ease your way into a transition. But ultimately, you go a lot faster that way than starting and stopping and starting and stopping. And maybe I don't want to be an underwater basket weaver. Maybe, really, I'm meant to be a crystal healer. Oh, no, I don't want to be a crystal healer. It's like you can spend years doing that, really. And your fear can chase you around that way. So did that make sense, actually? I don't know if I explained.
Absolutely.
And Chris Invoking Balance down there said, you just have to dip your foot in the water. People love to support each other on there. So sounds like you're part of that community as well. That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for the tip.
That's so great. And oh gosh. And on the spell, I do have to tell you this because I thought it was kind of synchronous that just as I learned that you were coming on our show, the last 2 days, my daughter has been obsessed with spells. Like she is her first spell, she's trying to turn herself into a mermaid. And her last spell was this morning. You should have just seen it. We've got chimes out here and leaves from the backyard and a hare, all this crazy. She's trying to become a fairy now. So I'm wishing, so I'm like, I don't want her to get discouraged.
Nickelodeon by any chance? Is she a fan of Nickelodeon by any chance?
I don't know if she's really watching Nickelodeon. I think this came from her friends, but who maybe have been watching Nickelodeon.
There's so many magic shows right now, and it's very much like that, But I think
I love it though. It just warms my heart that she really believes, and I think I want all of us to believe more, right?
Kids are magic. Kids are magical. That's what magic's done for me. Is it's giving me back the wisdom, the joy, the wonder that I was born with. We are magical, and we lose it at different ages. But typically, when we're very, very young, it's systematically beat out of us. And finding that again is, I feel like we get younger and younger the more you find it. Regardless of what wrinkles are making a new appearance that day. If you can feel joy because a hummingbird just came up to your face and he was so cute, and you're like, oh, it's a song. I think you can age in reverse that way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That gives me goosebumps. So yeah, I think that. Thank you so much. Such a treat to have you here. And I hope we all stay in touch. And now I have to go download all of your goodies. Get all your books.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for reaching out, because I didn't know you guys before this. And when I went looping around who are these women? I was like, whoa, this is beautiful. You're doing some really gorgeous. I mean that literally, aesthetically and gorgeous. I understand why you met on Instagram, because that makes sense. You both are very visual people.
For sure.
Yes.
Well, thanks so much. Yeah, thanks again, Joanna. Again, giant thanks.
Yes,
so appreciate it.
Weird must stay. Weird must stay.
Weird must stay. Yeah, I love that one. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to pull off, kind of show notes, big takeaways from every talk, and I think that might be one I start off with.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Bye, guys.
All right, recording off. Good.
All right. We still got our folks in chat here. And I love Chris. Yes, my daughter is a fairy. You're like, she is a fairy. I'm like, yes, she is.
You know, she might enjoy learning about the fae of, I believe, Chris, you might know more about this, invoking the balance, Chris. Like in Celtic lore and stuff, there was a people that were fairies, known as the fairies.
Yes.
So maybe teaching her about those people could help her feel like, oh, I am a fairy, you know, because they literally were called fairies. I'm looking at the sidebar. Okay. I don't even know how to pronounce that.
Yeah, I'm gonna write that one down now.
Google. Oh, shit.
I'm into the Celtic lore too, Chris. Chris.
So interesting. That's something that comes up in my witchy books all the time. Sidhe. I had no idea that's how you pronounce that.
Nice.
Well, like Gaelic. My grandparents spoke Gaelic, so it's, you know, I had to learn that word.
All right. Well, I'm gonna
just got here, so the recording ended just in time. Like right as we were wrapping it up, I heard the big like.
I'm sorry, my phone went off too. I'll have to remember next time. Did you notice my phone rang in partway through?
I didn't even hear it.
Hubby, I don't know. He's probably on his lunch break.
We have airplanes going overhead like crazy. Oh, Joanna, you're in LA? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Where are you two?
I'm in San Diego, so I'm down the road.
Right.
Toronto.
You mentioned.
So I'm
Toronto.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. Out of country.
I love it.
Great.
Oh, good. Chris didn't hear them either, so that's great. Thank you for joining us too. That was wonderful, and all of your input. Thank you for that. Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Bye.
Bye. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
See you guys another time, I hope.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.